If you know a up and coming artist, please get in touch with them. Tell them this is the time now. They need to see this. This man has broken Rod Wave. This man has broken Little Durk. The man has sold over 40 million records. That's it. Like, this is somebody that you need to see what's going on. And for me, the reason that I'm doing it, hold on one second, give me a second. Hold on. Quest. Hold on, just give me a second. The reason that I brought him in is because the reason that we're doing a Music Monday is because I hear so many people saying, I don't know what to do. I have no idea how to do this. That's all you and Dana. She gave me 2 babies. She could have gave them back. Don't start with me. Don't start with me that she gave me 2 babies. She could have gave them back. Now let me go back to what I was saying. I deal with artists all the time, okay? All the time. And I understand that a lot of times they don't know what's going on. They have no idea what's going on. And to be honest with you, they're going in circles. And I want to give them some type of clarity. And that's why I'm starting to bring people on Music Mondays, because I want people to understand how this works and where to get information and get stuff. So let's start here. This is my man, J.R. McKee. How you feeling, sir?
What's going on? What's going on? I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. So let's start here. I was really excited, and I told you this to your face, about having you on the show because I understand what you do. And you're responsible for what, over 40, 50, maybe 60 million in this?
Yeah, about a little over 40.
Okay, a little over 40. You worked under Tom Moskowitz, who I knew from Loud Records, and of course, Joe I.E. Manda, who is also a personal friend of mine. I mean, I've known Joe I.E. Manda since he started with Funkmaster Flex and then took it all the way to the top of Interscope. So when those people gave me the recommendation on you, I said, wait up. This guy is absolutely, completely serious and official, like a referee with a whistle. How did you get into the business, and what did you do? How did you get to where you are today?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. Man, it's been acting so glitchy. I didn't know if I was on or not. Yeah. All right. So question again was, how did I get into the business?
Yes.
So when I was 19 years old in college, I was throwing parties at a club. My grandmother owned a club, and we had artists come there. Artists wanted to, perform, or they wanted their song played. I started meeting them. I started getting in the mix, and 2 of the artists that I was in the mix with, Joey Moskowitz and Ty I.E., had discovered them at that time, and they signed into Asylum. This is 16 years ago.
Yeah, this is Asylum.
So,
this is right after Loud Records, Asylum. Right.
Exactly. So it's 16 years ago. And at that point, I'm in these meetings with Joey and Ty. You know what I mean? I'm a little kid at this point, man. I'm 19, but I look like I'm 12. You know what I'm saying? Super baby-faced kid. But I'm learning from them. I'm picking up game. And that was kind of my introduction to what the music business was. And so I got to go along for that ride. And when that ride was sort of over, after we had put out our album and everything, we got hot, and eventually came back down. After that ride was over, I decided this is what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be in the music business. I'm gonna start a record label. And so that was from the beginning my mindset, because I learned from that experience where all the money was. If you want to make money in the business, you need to be a record label. And so I learned that, from day one, from just watching Todd and Joey, watching how they operate, seeing where the money was flowing. I'm like, okay, I need to be in their shoes. And so that's what I did. So I started a label. Went out and signed artists, got the artists hot, and I've been doing that for umpteen years until I reconnected with Joey. So I signed K-Camp in 2013, developed K-Camp, broke out in 14. We had 14 and 15 was explosive years for us. We did about 6 platinum singles back to back, but that was also Joey I.E. So once we got that rolling, at the time, I think early 14, we had 2 records in the top 30 on radio, completely independent. And so everybody was trying to speak to us. You know, we had pretty much every label at the table, but because of my connection with Joey, just remembering he was the one who gave some kids from Mississippi a chance, I'm like, I trust this guy. And so we went with Joey. And then building off of that, when you got the introduction to streaming, and I was looking for a way to sort of apply the knowledge that I had learned, I went right back to Joey. I'm like, yo, Joey, you know, I've been talking with Carl at the time who was at Apple. I've been talking with Amber, who was at Spotify, and you know, I kind of they pretty much given me the game. They broke down how this thing works, and I was like, I feel like I can be a big help. And so he was like, you know what, I want to put you with Ty Moskowitz. And so he connected me with Ty. Me and Ty sat down in New York, and from there, you know, he gave me the head of digital sales and revenue. Basically, the opportunity to just apply with everything I had learned. And so when you see the explosion of Lil Durk, even though he had been in the game, you know, about 9 years at that time, it was the application of how to work these streaming platforms and those relationships I had with those people that took them to where you see now. And same with Ride Wave. Ride was already big in Florida, but that same application of the way that we roll out music, you know what I mean? That's what took them to that level that you see now. And so, I mean, we really just, you know, took what the knowledge that we had and applied it, you know, because a lot of labels still don't understand streaming. Most people don't understand streaming, but there are still a lot of labels that don't even understand streaming. I was just fortunate enough to have friends that were my friends before streaming existed, and they put me up on the real game. Like, this is how I work. These are the tools that we've built. This is how you work those tools. And so it's really, man, just having great friends that help put me in position to help more people.
Okay, so with that being said, you said that record labels don't understand streaming.
Yeah.
So record labels don't understand streaming. Artists don't really understand streaming. And independent artists definitely don't understand streaming. So give us your most simple explanation. Give us your most simple explanation of how it works. Hold on, people. Hold on. Okay, yeah. On your phone, can't hear you. Can't hear you. Hold on, let me hop. Because sometimes when you're on the phone, and you're on Instagram, you get knocked off, and it's a mess, man. It's a mess. Thank you very much, Tycoon Coalition, for buying a badge. Beverly Catherine Glover with your very nice self. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you heavily. Something about you that I really appreciate. Hold on, let me just grab him. Get JR back on.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Whenever your phone rings, it always cuts off. But that's Instagram. I think it's just that right now, because they have so many people on these 3 or 4 screens, it's changed everything.
Yeah. Sorry about that, man. I got a call. Okay. So the question was simplest explanation for streaming, and I'm gonna stick to the DSPs on this, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, etc. So basically, if you have an understanding of the process of music, back in the Napster days, back in the I can't remember all of the names, but there were a good number of platforms where you can go and download those songs for free. And so we were going through a huge piracy. You know what I mean? And so I don't know if y'all remember that, or if y'all are old enough to remember that, but piracy was crazy. And so we couldn't even, albums getting leaked, etc. And so streaming was sort of a solution to that. So it's like, if they're gonna download, because even though it wasn't live streaming from the internet, it was still streaming in a sense, because you weren't playing it on a CD player. You were playing it on your iPod, et cetera, et cetera. So if they're going to do that, let's build a platform where they can do that, where we just charge a subscription fee, but now they have access to all of the music. And so this was the answer to piracy, right?
Right.
Okay, so with that though, these are entrepreneurs that built these. They also had the opportunity to say, let's take away the power from the gatekeeper and the major label, and let's put the power in the artist's hand. Let's make it artist friendly versus major label friendly, because they consider the majors their biggest competition. Because at the time it wasn't like we're here to assist you, you're our competition. Because they were still still trying to see if they could be the label themselves.
Right.
That was something that was still in play when it first begun.
But they couldn't. Why couldn't they become the label? Why couldn't they be the label?
Not having like being directly in Spotify's conversations, I couldn't tell you the exact true answer, but I can just tell you that they veered away from it. I couldn't tell you exactly their reasoning behind, because if you remember, Apple was doing exclusives. They were like paying Drake, paying Future, and then Spotify started getting into it. So there was a rivalry there for a second where they were trying to be that, but it just didn't work out for everybody.
Right.
And so now they're in this space to where they're less willing to do exclusives. They really frown against exclusives. Let's just make sure it's on all platforms. So I think they came to a space to figure out like it's mutually beneficial for everything to be everywhere.
Right.
And so I think that's the space they're in now.
Now,
but never.
A question I have for you: is streaming better and more profitable than someone purchasing a record?
More profitable, no. More profitable, no. It's not more profitable when you talk about a single piece of content. So when you talk about an album being streamed versus an album being bought, 1,500 streams equals an album sale. That is not more profitable.
A single sale, right?
No. Don't get me lying. 1,500. No, 1,500 is an album.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, 1,500. So that versus a $9.99 download, you're gonna get more money. But see, the opportunity, like, don't get people get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in that. What you're missing is the opportunity to reach more ears. You know what I mean? As a single CD and CD sales, you're only able to reach where that CD can reach. Whereas music is streaming lives on the internet. So it can reach all 6.4 billion people that have the opportunity to stream that. You see what I'm saying?
We can grab it at any time.
So even though I may be making less per stream, my opportunity now becomes endless. So whereas I could have went platinum and sold 1 million CDs, now I can go diamond because I can reach that many more people. And so every new innovation has pros and cons. And so the con being, yes, per stream it pays less, but the opportunity, I can reach many more people. And that's the thing that has opened up is for individual artists. Again, going back to the original part of the conversation, when they built these as a sort of antithesis to gatekeeping. Meaning, I'm going to give you the tools to spread your music so that no one can stop your music from being heard. You know what I mean? So, for instance, I could sit here right now, record a song, put it out through Spotify, and Spotify will, their AI, their algorithm will determine what artists this makes sense for. And so, for instance, if I make a rap song or R&B song like Chris Brown and upload to Spotify, Spotify will then say, okay, this sounds like Chris Brown. Let me put it in similar places where people who like Chris Brown. So it actively spreads my music. You understand what I'm saying? And so that was them sort of giving you the tools to become an independent artist, to become an artist that doesn't need those things that the major label offers, right? But the point that I'm making too is that as an artist in streaming versus an artist in hard sales, because those things exist, you're going to reach many more people than you would have. If you go back to Texas when they used to sell music out the trunk, right? Mm-hmm. So that same artist who was selling 5,000 CDs a month, they can put that same sort of energy into the internet and reach 500,000 people a month. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just different. It's not better or worse. It's different.
Okay, my question to you is this. You said that Spotify and people, if you don't know what a DSP is, it's a digital service provider. Mm-hmm. You said that Spotify was trying to make this so that the artist would have a chance. But little old artist me in the world of Spotify, it's like a piece of, it's like this key in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So you claim that it's for me, but it's an ocean. How do I break through that? How is it possible for me to break through all of this noise?
So I think it's a mindset thing as an artist. As an artist, they still remember having the hit, right? And that's how they consider themselves breaking through. But with streaming, it's more about building. You know what I mean? You're literally putting out these pieces of content that are building blocks. So there are artists that are making 50,000 a month, 60,000 a month. But me and you may have never heard of them. But what they have done is built their fan base, right? So it's no longer about being a hit superstar artist. Those are sort of fading into the background. You know, those are becoming fewer and far between. More so, you're seeing everybody creating their own, I won't call it ocean, but creating their own lakes. You know what I'm saying? Like I know thousands of artists that are not on major radars, but they can go sell out a 500 person room. You know what I mean? Their streaming is making them $40,000 a month. They probably can charge $7,500 for a feature. You have to build your own house now. You know what I mean? Okay. It's really more about that. Like, it's more about making a living than it is about becoming a superstar. And if you want to become a superstar, then there's a whole nother job to that. You know what I mean? Right. And so you got to identify which one you want to be.
Yeah, you can be an artist that makes money, or you can be a superstar. There's different paths to both. There's different pros and cons to each. All right, so you say that in art, first of all, per million, let me go backwards. How hard is it to get 1 million streams? Because everybody looks at 1 million as a number.
Yeah.
How hard is it to get 1 million streams?
Are we talking about one song, or are we talking about multiple songs?
We're talking about one song. How hard is it to get 1 million streams? That's the number that everyone looks at.
Right. So I would say that it's difficult, but not nowhere near impossible, right? Because content sort of runs the world. You know what I mean? And so when you put out a piece of audio, you put out a musical content, audio content, right? A song. When you put out a song, it's all about the content that you put around it. You know what I mean? So I was showing some people the other day in the class. It was a brand new artist. He's probably only streaming, you know, a few thousand streams a week on Spotify. Very, very brand new artist. But I showed him the moment where he put out his music video. And he went from streaming 100 streams a day to 300 streams a day. And I was expressing to him, this is what content does for your streaming. Now, his problem was he put out that music video, and that was the end of it. But what he could have did was continue to put out content and take that 300 to 500, and then that 500 to 1,000. And then you never know which piece of content is going to spark something. It's not about the home run. It's really about building. You know what I mean? Like, one piece of content on your Instagram may do 5,000 views, but you may have that one special one that does 50,000. And then off that, you build off of that. And this is how you eventually get to 1 million streams on a song. It's just put the song out. If the song is good, of course, put content around that song to keep building that streaming story until you find yourself with 1 million streams on one song. But I don't like for people to focus on one song and streaming. It's really a building block. You're brick by brick, so you have to continue to put out music. So even though that one song may be doing more streams than the other, you still can continue to put out music. But the way you focus on that song that is streaming more than the others is you put more content around that song. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I might do more TikTok videos using that sound. I might sing the song a cappella. I might do a performance version. I might know a friend that dances well and get him to do a dance clip to it. I might know a friend that's connected to an actor I like, and I get them to post on their story with the song behind it. Like, you have to use your network to just put content around that song to continue to grow that song. So that's how you eventually get there. Is just constant. Like, it is a full-time job. You know what I mean? It's not a part-time job. And if you're doing it part-time, then you just got to expect part-time results. You know what I mean? It's a full-time job. And so you just have to keep building that story. It's much more of a building process than it used to be in the music business. Because the music business, where we had the gatekeepers did exist, if you were fortunate enough to be in that gatekeeper's good graces, there were ways that they could automatically pop your shit off because they did control the radio station. They did control 106 in Park. Why do I see the same 10 videos every week? It's because they control that. So there were, but it's not that anymore. But the special thing is now there's also nobody stopping you. Now you can go do it yourself if you're willing to be a full-time artist, and then eventually you'll get full-time returns.
And put the work in. So what you're saying is, it's kind of echoing what I say. The days of putting out, that was 1988, where you could put a record out, wait 8 months, and then put another record out. You now have to continually hit people and hit people and hit people and hit people. How long do you think, from a streaming perspective, should you use for every record? Should it be, you put out a record and you're working for 4 weeks and then you do another one? How long do you think you should stick on a record?
And so that's going to depend on artist by artist. This is something that I talk about. It's actually a term that I coined. It's called your streaming cycle. But any artist, you can go into their analytics and you can see how long the fans are actively listening to that song versus when it's just in their playlist and they're passively listening. So, perfect example, when a new song comes out from an artist I like, I'm acting like I go look up that J. Cole record. Like, I want to play that when I'm in the shower. I want to play that when I'm in the car. And eventually, the songs I like, I'll add them to my workout playlist. Eventually, they'll only play when I'm working out, or they'll only play when I'm doing so-and-so, whatever, right? So what's going to happen is, from a streaming standpoint, analytics standpoint, you're going to see your fans are seeking that song out for about 2 weeks. And then after about a 2-week mark, now it's just a passive record for them. You know what I mean? So you'll see just a steady stream of however many streams, right? But the key is, at that mark, so let's say for a new artist, it's 2 weeks. At that 2-week mark, I don't want to wait for that to happen. I want to put the new song out right on that 2-week mark so that, okay, bam, they're done with this one. Let's give them the next one. And I just keep building like that. I keep to my streaming cycle. And so that's how you do it. Every artist is different. But just for general rule of thumb, the newer you are, the more you have to put out. The bigger you get, the longer they'll actively listen, because then it'll start be them playing it for their friends, not their friends is playing it. So the bigger you get, the longer they'll actively listen. But for a new artist, if I'm brand new, I might do every week. If I'm a little bit like in it, I might do 2 weeks. But I would just say, until you're an established artist, it would be a 3 to 6 week thing for me. So I wouldn't go any longer than 6 weeks.
2 questions. So a Fatman scoop, how long do I go for? A month, or
right?
3 weeks? Like what? Because I'm an established artist. However, I have a preset audience now. So what's my number?
Can you hear me still? Because somebody had called me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Know what I'm saying? Can you hear me still?
What is?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. What is a number for somebody like me? How long should I release records? Every what?
Right. And same thing, we can just go into your analytics and see that number. You know what I mean? We can go and look at your last 3 releases and kind of look at that and determine how long they actively listen to those last releases.
Right.
But
relative.
If I had to guess, you know what I mean? If I had to guess, knowing when is the last time you put out music prior to recent? Like, I don't know if you had took a break, or, you know what I mean?
Okay, so my thing is not me putting out music. It's a million remixes all over the place. It's features. Like, so there's a record coming out on me almost guaranteed every week. Because I've done 30 remixes. Just in the quarantine, I've done 52 records.
Right. And so the one thing I would tell you is to make sure you're a primary artist on those. Are you familiar with what that is?
No.
All right. So Spotify, Apple, they built sort of a system to where, as instead of being a feature, you can be a collaborator. And what that does is whatever traffic that song generates, you get to reap the benefits of that. So if 500,000 people listen to that song, those show up on your Spotify profile. So now you have an extra 500,000 listeners on your profile.
Okay, so my question is that within the registration process?
That's
and,
what that.
And can I be in control of saying I am a collaborator, or does the person who made the record determine whether I'm a collaborator when they register?
So they actually have to get your permission to make you a collaborator. You know what I mean? But also on the flip side, you can demand that you're a collaborator. You know what I mean? But really, from a technical standpoint, they need your permission to make you a collaborator. But again, coming into it, you can say, hey, make sure you make me a collaborator. So 1 million streams, you get about $4,000 to $5,000. Reason being, most new artists resonate on Apple first. Because that's our culture. Our culture is on Apple. Spotify is more middle class, upper class. So you're gonna resonate on Apple first, which pays you more. It pays you about $7,300 per million streams. Spotify about $4,200. YouTube about $1,300. Right?
Hold on. Where is Tidal in this?
About 12,000. About 12,000 per million streams. Yeah.
So why did you not really mention them?
Well, because it's not enough streams going in there. So it's like, even though it is 12,000 per million, most people aren't doing those type of numbers. Most artists, it's just not a big enough platform to have that amount of effect. Apple is usually going to be a new artist's biggest platform. Maybe Spotify, depending on the demographic. But if you average it out, it may be 500,000 streams on Apple, 300,000 on Spotify, 200. You know what I mean? And so you end up falling in the range of 4,000 to 5,000 per million streams. But I just always, to round the numbers up easy, to be able to do quick estimates on how much the person's gonna get paid, I just stick at 5,000 per million streams.
Okay. What is one hack that you can give? Because I know you have a course, so I want to get to that. But what's one hack that you can throw at people to help them explode their streams?
I mean, the biggest hack going is primary artists. Because if you can get a feature with somebody and get primary artist rights, that grants you access to all of their fans, right? It used to be, oh man, I gotta bug somebody to post my video. Well, if you got primary rights, you don't gotta bug them for nothing, because you reach all their Spotify fans, all their Apple fans. So them posting is just a bonus at that point. So that's the biggest hack. Is just being able to get primary artist rights on artists, whether they're popping or not. As long as they have some sort of fan base, you get automatic access to that fan base.
Okay. I've been doing this for God knows how many years. Okay? I am a novice in streaming. You want to talk about breaking a record, taking it to radio? I used to be a promo rep at Tommy Boy. I broke many records. I've done it. I broke my own records. I know nothing about this. I am now going to put it in my contract that you have to do.
Yeah.
So that will now
be.
Yeah,
so always, the only, and for you, the only negative to that is, let's say you were going to put out a new record, next week. You don't want another artist putting out a record blocking your latest release. So like when on your Spotify profile, your Apple profile, your latest release should be Fatman Scoop's record, not somebody else's record featuring Fatman Scoop. So you want to control your timing, because if they're putting out a record same week as you don't want to get them primary rights, because then they'll be on the front of your Spotify Apple instead of you being on the front of your Spotify Apple. So that's the one caveat to make sure you pay attention to.
Okay, cool. You said that an artist can make 40K a month.
Yeah.
How do they do that? Like, how does that?
Man, y'all would just be surprised at how many people are already doing it. You know what I mean? It's no longer a superstar race. It's just who's willing to build that house. And a lot of artists are willing to build that house. So that's what my course teaches. My course teaches you the strategy behind how to do that, how to work these platforms the way that they're intended to be worked. Like, it's not like I'm teaching you something that wasn't intentional. This is intentionally, they built these for your benefit, for your help. So you gotta got to be able to understand them. Then you got to be able to understand the strategy. How do I put out the music? How do I surround my music with content? All of these things are what you'll learn in my course. The webinar is free, so even if you just want to learn more and you don't want to spend any money, watch the webinar, take what you learned from the webinar, and grow yourself. The webinar teaches you a lot of free game to help grow you as an artist, right? So that's what I would suggest, but you really need to be patient and steadfast. The number one key to streaming is consistency. That's the number one key to streaming. It's consistency and it's content. So you have consistency, you have content, you'll eventually find the people who are supposed to be attracted to you. That's what's so good about the internet being wide open. It's no longer about my music versus somebody else's. It's like I have the space for my music. I'm not in competition with anybody. It's not a competition anymore. You know what I mean? The space for your music exists. There's no way an artist can sound exactly like the other artist and fail. It doesn't matter. You find the people that attract to you. You know what I mean? You sound like another artist is actually a benefit because now I know I can go tap into their fan base. You know what I'm saying? Like if my music is similar to Chris Brown, it's no longer a negative. It's a benefit because if they like Chris Brown, likely they'll like me. And Facebook and Instagram makes it automatic to tap into their fan base. Because when I go to my ads, I can say all of Chris Brown's fans. You know what I mean? When I go to YouTube and Google, all of Chris Brown fans. And now I can build. You know what I mean? So the game is like literally wide open. Like anybody can make it. You just have to be smart.
So you show in your course, you show people exactly how to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the whole point. It's crazy because it started out as me doing it as a podcast because the goal still is and was to get the information out. But nobody listened to the podcast. And so I'm like, all right.
People also need to pay you for your expertise.
Well, that's
your
the thing.
Information
That's
downloading
what I learned.
Period.
People don't appreciate free. They don't appreciate it. Now, if you put a price tag to it, it means they have to invest into it. Now there's an appreciation. And so that's why it transferred from podcast to course. Because once it became a price to it, now it's like, oh, what's this? Oh, let me invest in myself. So now they understand it. When it was free, nobody wanted it. And so that's the crazy part about psychology, man. It's weird. But I mean, hey, whatever works, as long as the knowledge is getting out.
Right, 100%. Swag Moolah, listen to this. Marty, listen to this. Lucky, listen to this. If you're on here and you're an artist, you need to absorb this information. Now, what's the most important part of this entire interview for me is how do people get it? Where can they go to get it?
Yeah,
because this is something that people don't know. And I'm an industry veteran, and I don't know it that well.
Right.
So where can we go to get this?
So the link is in my bio. It's the first one is Intro to Streaming Webinar. I suggest you go through there and invest. This is about a 40-minute video. Invest your time into that because if you go through there, then you get the course at a discounted rate versus if you just go and straight buy the course. You can go and straight and buy the course. The link is also in my bio for that. But I would prefer you go through the webinar so that way you have a better understanding even going into the course. And you get a discount for having that understanding.
Okay, hold on. I just want to make sure that I'm doing this right. I'm going to put that's correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's my Instagram right there.
Okay,
you go there, click the link in the bio. It's the first one, Intro to Streaming Webinar. It's free. Go watch it. Whether you want to invest in the course or not, watch the webinar and learn from the webinar. Because the whole point of the whole thing was to get the information out.
Okay, listen, people, I'm going to say something to you, and I need you to listen to it very clearly. This is important. This is like important. Two things I'm going to say to you. In life, if you do not invest in yourself, you get nowhere. You can spend your time being a starving artist and going in circles, or you can invest in yourself and get education. This business is about education. You're either in the circle or you're out of the circle. Either you have some understanding about what's going on, or you are in the fucking dark. With that being said, I am telling you, go purchase this. Because it will give you an understanding of what you have to do. And listen, I'm not an affiliate. I have no affiliation. I'm not getting a check off this. I'm just telling you the shit that's important.
Yeah.
Okay? This is what you need. We are no longer in a sales cycle. People are not consuming records on CD. They are not consuming it on tape. It is not happening on vinyl. This shit is happening on the internet. Please listen to a man who does this.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Period.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Coming from a legend, by the way. Coming from a legend, by the way.
Listen,
I really, no, I appreciate that, for real.
This is hella fine important. Again, I am going to say this again. I am not getting a cent from this. I don't want a cent from this. I don't. I'm telling you, you need help. And here's the problem, and I'm going to say this to you very clearly. The major problem with artists, they think they know it all. They think they can do it all. You need help. You listen to people who have done it. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in education. There's no way to make it to the top without being educated. This is the beginning of that education. Go there. At least watch the webinar. Then make a decision. But here's the thing. I'll give you a good example, people. I'm going to use myself. I brought courses on YouTube. I brought courses on Instagram. And I started to learn little things. You're doing your thumbnails wrong. When you do a thumbnail, it needs to be 4 words. These are all things that I'm looking at my YouTube. I'm saying, well, hold on, I'm fucking it up. But when you learn, you do better. And you get better results.
Absolutely, man. Definitely invest in yourself. Definitely get knowledge. You know, I'm constantly reading, getting knowledge, gaining everything. There's no such thing as stop learning. Like once you stop learning, that's when you cease to live. Like, you know what I mean? So you have to stop. You have to keep. No, I'm sorry. Once you stop learning, that's when you become irrelevant. That's what I meant to say. That's when you become irrelevant once you stop learning, because everything will pass you by. You know what I mean? So definitely, you know, invest in yourself. Take the course. But again, I don't even want to push the course. Take the webinar. It's free because I want you guys to learn. That's really the bottom line. Learn as much as you can. You have to be educated. I always tell people artists last, 3 years, and the #1 fall off is lack of education. So even if you get on without educating yourself, you won't stay on because you don't understand the business.
You won't.
And so if you're serious about this and you want longevity, you have to understand the business. Then a lot of artists, they want somebody else to do it for them, which isn't terrible, but you don't want somebody doing something that you have no knowledge of, because then that's how you get took.
Okay. So, people, he made a very, very important point here. You, in the beginning, you're going to have to wear all the hats. You might not want to wear the hats, but you're going to wear them. Number 2 is, if you don't know what's going on in your business and you don't know how to execute, that is one way to get taken. For example, I aspire to have a trucking business. I am going to get my CDL because I need to know what it's like to be on the road, how much gas it takes to get from here to there. You need to know, and then you can put people in that position.
Exactly.
But you need to know.
But you need an understanding of it first.
You need to know first. Again, I want you, promote this course. Let them know about it. Let them know again where to get it.
Yeah, for sure. Go to my bio. It's the first link in my bio, Intro to Streaming Webinar. I strongly suggest you doing it that way because you get a discount and understanding. If you don't want to watch the webinar, listen, go to the website and just buy it straight off the website. But I would suggest going through the webinar and understand it. Anything, music business and streaming, this is the way. This is the way. I don't care if you already, Broadway was already popping when I got to them and applied this information. But what we did was take him 10x, you know what I mean? Well, shit, really 20x, because he was at like 5 million. We took him past 100 million. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter where you are right now. Without this information, you're limited. You know what I mean? So even if you're already popping, you need this information to get larger. And that's exactly what happened. Lil Durk had been in the game 9 years, but with this information, look where he's at now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Nigel George Official says, I have the course, I've gone through it several times, and I learned something new each time. I want to say this, and this is the final thing I'm going to say on this. Here's why and listen, I make no, I don't front. I called this man and I said, I am excited to have this interview. Here's why. If your streaming numbers are moving, you become attractive to a label. If that's your move.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, but then also if your streaming numbers are moving, you now have options. You know, the label becomes an option instead of the only way. You know what I mean? And so for me, there's no right or wrong way. Like if you go with a label, it's totally fine. That's one business, one revenue stream. You still have 10 other businesses you can put from that revenue stream. So I'm not against going with major labels, but I'm against not having options. You know what I mean? And so with what you grow in your streaming, you're creating options.
100%, 100%. Thank you for coming through, brother. I'll be getting in touch with you. I'll hit you later on this week. We'll talk.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro. This is crazy. I got to call my mom, call the family, let them know what I just did.
Fatman Scoop. Visit fatmanscoop.com to buy merch. Go to Fatman Scoop on Instagram TV or YouTube to see the full interview.